What's up everyone, my name is Andrew Fung. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to show you 8 proven ways that ChatGPT can help developers like yourself to boost your everyday life productivity and developer experience. Unless you're living under a rock, you probably know what ChatGPT is and what it does. So it is the first software from OpenAI that attains 1 million users under 5 days. And it can assist you in various tasks. For example, you can see generate creative ideas, and it can do a lot of things like code generations, explain code concepts, do error detections, and do text summarization with natural language processing. So given its hype on social media, there are a lot of tutorials teaching how programmers can use ChatGPT to do code generations and finish some of the tasks that they want. But today we're going to look into some unique ways to boost our productivity as a developer that is not covered by other developers. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. So let's pull up ChatGPT in our main screen. And to be able to use ChatGPT, you first need an OpenAI account. And in this tutorial, we'll probably skip over that because there should be countless tutorials on opening up a ChatGPT account, registering for API keys, etc. I can link one of the videos on the top right corner now. And so let's go ahead and create a new chat. So the first thing we can do is to test the code generation of ChatGPT. So we all know that how frustrating it can be when we are stuck in a problem, we can't find a solution. So with ChatGPT, we can first generate some code snippets for various programming languages like Python, JavaScript, and Java, which can save us a lot of time. So for example, let's test the ChatGPT. Can you create a bank system class in Python using object-oriented programming? So OOP, hit enter. So without many specific details in the question, it is able to generate some cool responses with the principle of object-oriented programming. So this, as you can see, it's now typing out the code for a Python class about a bank system. So there's limited functions, definitely. It can be treated as a boilerplate code, so it has deposit, withdraw, check balance, and stuff like this. So this can probably alleviate some of the work that we have to write everything from scratch, and this can be taken as a reference. So you can see there's 2 constructors, name and balance, which is defined in the init function. And to create an object of this class, you can go on to do bank John Doe for his account, bank account, and then deposit 500. Check the balance to see if the $500 has been deposited in the account, and then withdraw, and then check balance. So this can be the expected output from this code snippet. So this is just, as you can tell, this is just a basic example, like some of the functionality of a bank's account. So it even gives you some things that you can improve on this code. For example, security, interest, and stuff. So definitely you can use this function not to finish your assignments, of course, but to give you a brief idea on what it can do. And if you are not satisfied with the results, you can definitely click the regenerate response here. And the next thing we can test is to test its code translation. So Imagine you're like working on a project that requires multiple languages that you have to switch between. So with ChatGPT, you can easily convert a piece of code from one language to another, making it easier to work on the project. So, for example, we can take the previous example of a bank statement in Python. Can you translate it to JavaScript? Because JavaScript also has a class. So yes, you can definitely translate it into JavaScript. So it has the same constructor, name and balance, define deposit. So this is briefly a basic example to translate to. So probably there won't be any errors in this code snippet. But if you're talking like big projects that maybe some of the functionalities cannot be directly translated, just like when you translate Chinese to English, there might be some terms or subjects that is missing. So it cannot be like 100% accuracy, but it can be a good reference point that you can reference. And you can see it translated also the guide on how you can use the code from the class, from the bank class, and also the expected output. So yeah, it is just a basic example. So it is probably a cool idea and starting point for you guys to translate code. And the third thing we can talk about is the data manipulation. So for example, if developers want to use prompts to manipulate the data into specific formats, we can do that by calling out the different data formats that we want to translate it to. So we can do convert a CSV file about COVID data into a JSON file. So you can see it's writing its responses, identify the CSV, which is one way of storing data popular in machine learning, and also using pandas to store CSV and convert it into a data frame, into JSON, which is mostly on JavaScript and also maybe Python request data. So you can see first they imported CSV and also JSON, and then open the CSV file, read it line by line, and then convert the data row by row in the CSV dict reader. So this will open the COVID data as mentioned, and yeah, and then you can load in the CSV in pandas for the COVID data CSV, and then can directly translate the data frame into JSON. But that will need you to import the pandas package, which some of you may not like. So it gives you two options. Input file name should be COVID data CSV, and the output is COVID data JSON. So it also converted the output file name for you. And then you can, in JavaScript, you can use CSV to JSON package to convert CSV to JSON. So this will be the JavaScript approach to do the following tasks, because in the first task we use Python, and then in the second task it used JSON, so JavaScript, excuse me. So it will probably identify the history of what we have inputted, and then give us relatively relevant responses. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, which is the natural language processing. So as you can tell, ChatGPT is basically a language model that is trained on a lot of machine learning data on human responses. So we can test out this functionality in ChatGPT. So we can do is summarize the following article. Okay, so let's paste in an article that is related to the marketing concept of launch funnels. So let's see what response does it give. So in this article, it explains the importance of creating compelling offers in launch funnels, and you can even limit the main idea that it concludes into a shorter form. So can you summarize it into five key concepts in point form? So it gave you the exact desired response that you want. So compelling offer is about tailored to specific needs, etc. So imagine what you can do is you can take in a large piece of text, ideally the technical documentations of a software that you regard it as too long to read. Then you can summarize this article and give you for example, the text summarization, sentiment analysis, and also do language translation. So can you explain what Docker does in a few sentences? Yeah, so Docker is a technology that is allowing developers to easily create, deploy, and run applications in a containerized environment, lightweight, portable, etc. So you get the idea. Okay, so moving on to the next feature, which is error detection, or in other words, debugging. So another important task for developers is always to debug and do error detection for our code. So with ChatGPT, you can detect and fix the errors in your code, making it more efficient and the process faster. So let me go ahead and copy a piece of code snippet that contains 4 errors. So let's see if it identifies the errors in the script. So before that, we can do can you find and fix errors in this Python code? And then enter. So one thing to note is that we don't have to do any syntax highlighting or stuff just to make it format. So we can just directly copy and paste, and it will ChatGPT will automatically detect that it is Python written in Python, and then here's the corrected code. So it is definitely a powerful tool. So for this first line, there's basically a syntax error as we missed the closing quote. Okay, so it detects that. And the second one is a semantic error. Num1, num2 are integers and we convert it into a string. So when we add the two num1 and num2, it becomes 56 instead of the ideal intentions that we want, which is to plus 5 and 6 together. So it detects that sum should be calculated using a plus operator instead of string concatenation. So this will give us 11 instead of 56, which is the thing that we want. And the third error is a type error. So in this case, age is 25, and then we do I am age years old. But age is an integer, so it cannot just do concatenation just like strings. So we have to first convert age into a string. Age is an int. It has to be converted into a string before concatenation. So it takes this type error. And the last thing is the runtime error. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have to print number 10 in the list, which does not exist. So the index is off by 1. We should be 4 instead of 10. So it detects a runtime error, and this directly gives you the Chat GPT directly gives you the correct piece of code snippets for your code, and then also give you a detailed explanation on all the errors, which is fantastic. Moving on to number 6, which is technical documentation. So as developers, writing technical documentations can always be time consuming, but with ChatGPT we can easily create professional quality documentations with minimal effort. So for example, if we want to do a test which is concatenating audio clips in Python, what we can do is to simply go to the front and then do, can you generate a technical documentation? Make sure you include the word technical documentations about concatenating audio clips in Python, and then question mark. So this will output a professional quality documentation, just like what you will find in a GitHub README, a markdown that you can use to teach your yourself or your developers that is using your software to understand what's the steps to set up and then what you can do for that. So as you can tell, we can first install a PyDub library, import the audio segment, and then generate an audio from the file audio 1 and 2, and then simply do audio 1 plus audio 2, just like string concatenation, and then output or export the concatenated files into concatenated audio mp3, and then so that's multiple. It also teaches you how to concatenate multiple audio files in the list. So you can also use other audio formats such as WAV, IF, I'm not sure what this format is, and adjust the volume with the apply gain. So it also gives you some tips on how you can better use the PyDub library. So let's try one more thing. Can you make it more like a technical documentation or README? Enter. So let's see what it does. So now it gives you almost the same structure of a markdown document that you can see in the GitHub README. So this would be the third header, this would be the main header, and then just like installation, before doing something like that you have to do pip install. So it definitely gives you some of the formatting styles that you won't expect from a language model. And so this is pretty useful, considering writing documentations can take a lot of time, and when you try to explain one concept, you don't want to write it manually, except it's like custom library or stuff. So yeah, this can be very helpful. So apart from generating technical documentations, you can also ask ChatGPT to act as a pair programmer by providing some suggestions, code snippets, and also explanations to developers as they are just like working on the project together. So it can help them write better code and finish the project more efficiently. So what we can say before the prompt is to act as a pair programmer. Can you look at the following code for me? So I will paste in the code that I wrote in the Telegram bot series. So let's hit enter and see what instructions or feedback that it gave me as a pair programmer. So you can say this code is appears to be written into a Flask framework, which is correct. Uses request OS libraries and uses environment variables to store sensitive information such as API tokens and headers, which is definitely the main idea behind what I did. So banned usernames and banned user IDs are empty. So this is for demonstrations because I didn't put in any usernames into these two variables. So it catches that, which is great. And so should be named as app.py to run it properly, and there should be a proc file because it has to run on Heroku, so that's why it needs a proc file. And it seems that the code is missing some error handling. It will be beneficial to add some error handling mechanisms to handle errors that might occur during the execution of the code. So it gives me some of the feedback that I would want, just like a senior software engineer in the company or an interviewer. As you can tell, it is pretty good at understanding the code snippets that I wrote, the idea behind each functions, and also is able to provide me some solid feedback on my code. So I highly encourage you guys, you can try to tell ChatGPT to act as a pair programmer and give you some suggestions, and who knows, you can probably increase the efficiencies and probably write some cleaner code. The last part is to use ChatGPT to run some machine learning models. So nowadays when we want to run some machine learning code, you probably need to do a lot of setups before you can actually run and fine-tune the machine learning models. What we can do is to ask, can you explain how ChatGPT can help developers in doing linear regression with typos, regression with a quick example in Python? So ChatGPT can also correct some of the typos that you may have in your questions, so no worries if you type it wrong and stuff. As it is explaining, ChatGPT can be used to help developers doing linear regression by providing guidance and syntax on the syntax and relevant libraries. So now it's using scikit-learn linear regression class to fit a linear model to the data set and make some predictions. So as you can tell, it generated some sample data, just like the courses assignments that you have on machine learning. in universities, make predictions, and then find the coefficients and intercept, and finally print the prediction. So it also explains what this code does. So it generates sample data and then fit a linear model with the linear regression class, using the fit method, and then do predict. So oftentimes you can see ChatGPT hasn't finished what it has said because of the correct character limit. So you can do, can you continue from where you left off? And then it says it's important to note that ChatGPT can provide guidance on syntax and also doing linear regressions, and let it finish. So there you have it. Bear in mind that this tutorial is by no means an exhaustive list of things that you can do with ChatGPT, but you can always do way more by giving it more specific and tailored prompts and guidance to this language model, so that it understands what you will need in particular. But I'm sure that by now you can tell that ChatGPT is definitely an incredible, powerful tool that can help you to boost your everyday life productivity, saves you some time on generating code and then do translation, data manipulation all manually by yourself. One of the main features I like is the pair programming feature, that it will always generate some insights and feedback, just like a senior software engineers in your company, which is great, just like a code mentor on things that you can improve with your code. So if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content like this. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.